So I read that you kind of got into your love of directing and filmmaking around 13 when you got your first VHS camera. So can you just talk a little bit about like that, like how you fell in love with it?
Sure. So, we had one of those like for the youngins, like VHS camera. They were huge. It was almost like a backpack
Mhm.
that you kind of put on your shoulder. And I was just really lucky that my parents had one. And so the neighborhood kids we would come over and they would do music videos. So like we would put like a boom box off to the side and hit play, and the camera was like on a tripod just looking, and like we would sing and have backup dancers and just kind of goof around. And then for my 15th birthday party, I had a sleepover and decided that we were going to do a parody of Saturday Night Live called Friday Night Edited. And I didn't know how to edit at the time. So I'd have to like pause and then change things around and then hit play. So we had this whole opening scene, and we redid like all of their sketches and all. And I don't I absolutely loved it. And so the more we could get our neighborhood kids over to and we would try and think of like, oh, what song do we want to do now and how do we want to do it, and we'd rehearse. And yeah, I just loved it.
So it makes sense that music has kind of become like a central part in a lot of
Yeah.
the holiday ones that you've directed. And one of my questions was like, did that come because you've worked with Dia Frampton now twice, but it seems like it goes
Yeah.
back to when you were 13.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think like I also just love musicals. And so I think, I feel like I'm destined to do one at some point. But yeah, so I think, yeah, I just have always loved music videos, musicals. And so, yes, I have tried to incorporate as much of that into my movies as possible.
Do you have like a dream? Like if you could remake, would you want to remake a musical or like a brand new written fresh
I think
for
I'd want to do a brand new one. Yeah,
oh,
I think
very
I'd want to
cool.
do a brand new one. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what musical would I make gay? Like I've never thought about that.
Oh,
You know what I
really?
mean?
Oh man, there's
No,
so
I've
many
never
good
thought like,
options.
wow, pitch me. What do you think? Which one would we want to make gay?
I mean, West Side Story is such a classic, and it would be
Oh
you
my
would
gosh,
love to see
yeah.
that as queer. I'm trying
Oh
to
my
think.
gosh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Hadestown
Yep,
is a newer one, but I would love to see
it is a
Hadestown.
newer one.
Man, yeah, there's so many
Okay.
possibilities.
I know, I'm trying to think of like Oklahoma. Like
Oklahoma would be fun.
I'm like Rogers and Hammerstein. Like
Oh,
what are some of their, yeah.
I mean, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, but queer would be. I love the
Ooh,
music of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. That's one of my favorites.
that would be a good one. That
Yeah.
yeah. Man, I can't believe I've never played this game before, Tina. You're
Oh
like
my
blowing my
gosh.
mind. But yeah, if I was gonna do one, I would want fresh music. I would want to kind of like really have, really be involved, in the in that whole creative process. So I think
Mhm.
that would be really fun. Probably not the writing it, but like really talking about the overall theme. And I think I'm also just like really lucky that I have some collaborators and friends who are incredible musicians
Yeah.
and have always, been willing to kind of play in that space with me.
So what is it about directing now that, I mean, you loved it when you were 13, but you probably didn't have the
Yeah.
vocabulary of why you loved it. So now that you have that vocabulary, what is it about directing that you just
Yeah.
love?
Um, the thing that I absolutely love is working with the actors. I I love, watching a scene unfold and the choices that they make, and then going in and just really doing all these like, interesting fine tune um directions, and just like, and yeah, just really, and seeing how that makes the scene evolve and how that changes the energy of everything. So yeah, I love working with actors, and that is I think why, I did a lot of producing before, with smaller stuff with Tello. And I remember in 2016, I only produced, I didn't direct any of the projects that we did. And I remember, really missing it, being on set, and really, really missing not, I obviously I had interaction with the actors, like we would chat, and
Mm-hmm.
but there was something about really working with someone on a scene that is just that I loved it and I missed it, and I kind of, that's when I made a commitment that I was going to be directing the projects from now on.
That's awesome. So for as far as these two leads, you have Dia and Andi. Was the script
Yeah.
written? They're incredible. The chemistry between the two of them was fantastic.
Isn't it fire? I know.
Yeah.
I know. It was like I think it was the first day we were on set. The one of the very first scenes that we shot was the one where they're untangling Dia. Dia's all
Yeah.
tangled up, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, the sparks coming off of these two. Whoo, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, we got something here, everyone. Like, holy smokes.
Yeah, that was definitely like it just jumps off the screen. And so I guess I was wondering, because you've worked with Dia before, did you have her in mind for this movie as well? Or is it just chance?
So that is such an interesting story, I think. So originally Dia was cast as the lead in Christmas at the Ranch.
Mhm.
And so when and then she got COVID like
Oh
2 days
no.
before she was supposed to get on a plane, and I had to recast. And Laura had been cast as Masonry, if anyone's seen that movie, and so was coming in town anyway. And because Dia's half Asian and Laura's half Asian, we had cast Archie Cow as the brother, and I kind of needed someone who I didn't need. I mean, but it was helpful that Laura was also half Asian. So I was like, I need you to jump in and go from like a 1 day, 2 day role to the lead. And
Wow.
of course, Laura was amazing and stepped right into it, and like you would never know. And she's incredibly talented. And I remember I was having a call with Dia, and I said, I don't know why this is happening, but I have to believe there's some reason that you're not supposed to play the lead in this movie. And I think if I had cast Dia and she had been in Christmas at the Ranch, I would not have cast her in Marion Gay,
Mm.
because she would have been a lead in like three movies in a row, which, and I love Dia, but that's a little much. And so I remember when I was casting Marion Gay, and I immediately called her and I was like, hey, I have this for you. Are you available? Are you interested? Let me send you the script. And I remember, and I said to her, I said, this is why you got COVID and couldn't do Christmas at the Ranch,
Mhm.
because I wouldn't put you in this otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the crazy thing that happened with this. And I think once I knew it was Dia, I went back in and had had the whole Broadway stuff written.
Mm.
So, and the character always sang, obviously, but yeah, then we wrote like a bunch of other stuff for her specifically.
Yeah. The Broadway stuff is very fun in the beginning.
Yeah,
So was
right.
Andy's character of Sam, was that always written as a non-binary lead?
No, so originally but I will say Andy's character was always written to be a more androgynous looking character.
Hmm.
So the original writers um, kind of had this, I think in the description said like androgynous. And as I was doing a bunch of rewrites and like really thinking about this character, I thought, I think we should just double down and really go all in on the non-binary piece of this.
Hmm.
And that just sort of felt right. And then once that decision was made, we started auditioning and looking for non-binary actors.
Wow.